It is important to understanding first what frustration is and how it works before attempting to fix or change it. Emotions are much more complex than spark plugs and pistons and fear injectors. And reading over what we know about race is a useful place to get started. Today we learned anger as an emotion. You know, anger is emotion. So let's begin by addressing the anger as an emotion. Emotions are particularly common. We also contain them. In reality, scientists have found a similar set of emotions felt by people from different cultures, religions, race, and works of life around the world. These include, among others, anger, sorrow, joy, anger, remorse, guilt, jealousy, and envy. The reactions to many of those feelings around the world are so clear that we can recognize them simply by looking at facial expressions. Each emotion has many different varieties. The feeling associated with anger vary from mild annoyance to indignation or aggravation to extreme rage. You don't always sense the feelings in its most intense form. For example, one day, your frustration can come in the form of regular feelings of agitation and discomfort, whereas it may manifest as extreme bursts of rage on the following day. Firstly, why are there emotions? Why are there emotions? Some researchers believe feelings have evolved to help us live, acting a lot like a very complex adaptive device of life support. If your breathing slows down or your blood oxygen levels drop in hospital, there are lights and warnings in our life support system that warn if something is wrong. Likewise, negative emotions like rage, panic, or anxiety are responses that warn you when there might be something wrong. You might be in danger. For example, somebody might be mistreating you, or there might be a problem to stop, to solve. A physical sensation such as a pulse pounding, tight muscles, and softness are like the beeps and a lot of our life support system. Like a life support system that are only set up to sense danger. Feelings always inform you. When something good happens, happiness and contentment can be a sign that what you do is healthy for you. Excitement will tell you there is something exciting going on. You may be informed by feelings of love, then you respect or feel safe and close to somebody, and that spending more time with that person might be good for you. Emotions are very helpful, as you can see, allowing us to prevent damage and step toward beneficial things. Another important thing to know about the feeling is that they don't last very long. Like anger. Emotions are involuntary response to events that happen to us. They are sometimes reactions to the feeling that we have. Emotions are different from what we call moods. Moods last longer and in relation to what is happening to us. They don't change much. The attitude on a single day is much like the atmosphere, while moods are much like the climate. So, what do we think as an emotional state about anger? The anger is fleeting. We realize it flares up for a short time and then dies down, right? Like other levels of rage, indignation doesn't last forever or even very, very long. When we encourage rage to run its course and get away from the thing that provokes our frustration, it will move pretty fast. We get anger sometimes that doesn't go away quickly. Maybe you had a day during which you were distracted by every little thing and you feel kind of a kid up and edgy. This general feeling of irritability lingering for several hours or longer is what we call a mood, whereas the occasional bursts of frustration or rage that flare up in response to specific events, such as being caught up while driving, catching a bus, or being told you should have more thoroughly cleaned the kitchen, and calming down quickly are emotional states. While fleeting, feelings are fairly complex. Affection both the body and the brain. Emotions have often been said to come from the heart, while reasoning and thought come from the brain. It makes sense since you may detect an emotion in your body first. Your heart may be pounding, your palms sweaty, and your muscles tight. It might seem that feelings are just body sensation, while reasoning is situated in the brain. Emotions are in your heart, while ideas are in your head. As it turns out, the body and brain are actually one and same entirely. Maybe the reality is reflected more honestly in an emotional response. The emotion is a whole body, brain reaction, not just how you feel. When an impulse flares, all of this affects the brain, nervous system, body, heart, and blood chemistry. It's important to remember that feelings and acts are distinct but connected. Most people associate anger with aggression. So we're gonna looking for the anger and aggression. The two can be linked. Anger and aggression can be linked, but they're not the same thing. Aggression includes acts or commands that, while indignation is an emotional state, could be detrimental to someone or something. You can feel really angry and frustrated, even agitated but not violently behaving yet. Likewise, when people are not angry or frustrated, they may act aggressively. For starters, many fans went downtown and rioted the last time the Vancouver Canucks were close to winning the Stanley Cup and lost. They smashed and burned cars, broke windows, threatened officers, and even worse. Some of those people may have been angry and upset about the defeat of their band, but the riot videos indicate otherwise. Many of the rioters screamed and ran down. They looked like they were having a lot of fun at a party. Take boxing or martial arts as yet another example. Sparring and boxing matches are violent by definition. They often try to immobilize or knock out revival. And neither competitor would likely say it had anything to do with the frustration. Yes, If these warriors were willingly upset, they would certainly not think clearly enough to protect themselves. The main point to keep in mind is that anger and violence are not the same thing. Scholars have indeed discussed the role of anger or frustration in aggressive behavior for years. And that lack of clear connection is very good news. Just because you are getting frustrated doesn't mean you have to act aggressively or are going to act. You have the ability to do something else, or more like intensing in productive activities. Most people who study anger say we have the we have to be conscious that something bad or unwelcome is happening to us in order to feel upset. The first important point is that you are unlikely to feel anger over an accident that you do know about. If someone is just saying negative things about you behind your back, but you never find out, you won't be responding with anger. When you stay asleep while your house is being attacked, you won't be afraid because you don't know the thieves are in your room. For us to have emotional reaction, our mind somehow need to become conscious of occurrence. The second important point is that people appear not to be upset about just any case. In order for frustration to exist, we must perceive or interpret an occurrence as bad, uncomfortable, or unwelcome. Why and how do we see things as bad, upsetting, or unwanted? It's useful in the case of emotions to note that many researchers believe that feelings have evolved to help us live and achieve important goals. Consequently, feelings continue to manifest when a situation appears related to some important goal or wish. Picture your goal being to reach graduate school. For which you acquire excellent grade, but you believe that your processor has wrongly graded an exam. You might see that grade and by implication the situation is hampering your target. Maybe they also hinder the ability to be treated fairly and with dignity. If a big bear comes into your workplace, part of the reason you are so frightened is because your brain perceives that bear as a danger to your safety objective to avoid harm. In fact, feelings such as rage emerge as you view a condition in comparison to your objective as being terrible for you. It's important to remember that you don't always have to talk about something thoroughly before you get an emotional reaction to it. The brain often very easily detects whether something is good or bad for you. In fact, this often occurs in regions of your brain that are involved in deep thinking or information processing, such as tonsillitis. Think about what would happen if, while crossing a street, we had to spend time thinking closely about every oncoming car. Let me consider this. The car is starting to grow bigger and bigger. I reduce that means the car is quickly getting closer to me. Boom! We altogether struck by a lot more. Perceiving a situation as good or bad will happen very quickly, which can actually motivate us to do what's needed. Perhaps our emotional system strength is its rapidity and quality. The pace of emotional response is one of the most maddening aspects about feelings and anger for many of us. Occasionally, in a split second, you may feel like your frustration ranges from 0 to 6 miles per hour. It might seem like there is really no room for thought, preparing, or controlling your frustration before you do anything or anything you regret. Nevertheless, the good news is that our minds are constantly learning and moving. We should learn how to slow down and choose our act wisely. And some of the strategy in the people or book and lectures can help you do just that. We can also learn new ways to adapt to the very same problems we used to get mad about, even if the same circumstances continue to come under our skin and cause very intense anger. We will learn to act in ways that are more aligned with our personal values and goals. We should learn how to handle our frustration so it won't stay as strong for as long as that. Cues for anger. A cue is something which sets the stage for our emotional response. Keep in mind that it is special, which makes you may not allow anyone else to get upset. Broadly speaking, there are few common signs of anger. Situations we perceive as threatening, being prevented or blocked from reaching an important goal. Unpleasant physical sensation and physical and emotional pain. Anger is common reaction when someone threatens the physical or emotional well-being or the well-being of a loved one. For example, if somebody mocked him in a room full of people, many people would feel very upset. This type of behavior can be seen as a danger to one's mental well-being or status. It's also common to feel upset when someone is mistreating, disrespectful, offensive, or rude to someone we love or care for. Many of us would still feel intense rage if someone were behaving against us in a physically aggressive or threatening manner. Traits to reputation, ability, or honesty are also indexes of frustration. Another typical trigger to frustration is being stopped from reaching a goal. For example, if you are running last for work and you driving particularly slow in the fast lane, anger or frustration is a normal reaction. If a machine meltdown resulted in weeks of work being missed, there would be extreme frustration, anger among the many natural reactions to this situation. Others include a feel of fear, fatigue, and overwhelm. If it's your important goal to be handled with dignity and respect, you may feel angry when you experience mistreatment, inequality, or rudeness toward you or others. Anger can also start with unpleasant sensation and physical and emotional discomfort. Anger and might frequently go along with chronic pain for a journey. If you think about it, that makes a lot of sense. For the most part, we would like to be pain-free. The associated obstacle to daily activities and the persistent frustration can be incredibly frustrating when you feel sad. At times, the debilitating pain. Keep in mind that different things make different people angry. Emotions like anger include personal experience, which are very human. Some people are truly disturbed by everyday stress, such as being irritated, while others are taking these things in phrase, whether you react emotionally to different situations depends on many factors, including disposition and temperament, life experience, diet and sleep quality, and whether you are using alcohol, illicit drugs, or prescribed medication. The list goes on. We know understanding the different components of anger. An emotion is like a flower with many petals. Even though sometimes you may feel like the legendary six-headed snake like a hydra as you rest. Both feelings are comprised of three distinct components: physical, emotional, and behavior. So, physical, the way the body responds when you feel an emotion. Emotional, the perceptions that go along with the emotion. The behavior, the actions you do or are encouraged to do when you encounter an emotion. Physical. The first tip off that an emotion occurs is often a difference in the physical sensations, such a feeling including sorrow, sound deflating, and de-emerging. If you are depressed, your muscles may feel heavy. You may experience a sinking feeling in your chest or belly, and you may feel reported or lethargic. It kind of slows things down. In comparison, you can feel much more refreshed and energized when you feel extremely afraid, and you may experience increased respiration, fast, rapid heartbeat, and some sadness. Unlike anxiety, rage-up appears to be energizing emotions that comes with physical sensations that are distinct and sometimes negative. What's fascinating about this feeling is that they might warn you your body is getting ready for action. Anger is one part of natural defense system in your body, also called the reaction to flight, fight, freeze. Anger is like a very sophisticated system of warnings that alert you to danger and train your body to respond. Many of the physical sensations that go with anger or fear include changes in body pressure, allowing us, our arms and legs more quickly to either run fast or protect ourselves. Change in blood flow can lead to increased heart rate, soundness, vision widening. Focus attention on the heart rate. Muscle stress, decrease hearing loss, racing thoughts, accelerated breathing, and dry mouth. Imagine someone with this sort of alarm system attempting to break into a car of the future. First, the computer would feel a person touching the door handle or perceive it. An alarm would go off and start the car. Then the gas flow would get higher and higher, and the engine would rev. The vehicle would be able to speed from the attacker entirely. As our alarm systems go off, our body prepares itself equally to take a switch action. The highest priority is often to get away from the danger flight. This is common response to anxiety and behavior. Nonetheless, with race, another common reaction is essentially fighting, moving through the around and around within our path. The response is while race always goes hand in hand with an intense desire to act. There are plenty of common physical sensations that go with anger. Increased perspiration, increased heart rate, pounding heart, increased respiration, tense muscles, clenching or tightening in the chest, tightness in the jaw, dry mouth, feeling like things are not real, flushing of the face, feeling like you're going to explode, activating of a flight to fight to freeze response. If you used to seeing the physical sign of a frustration, you are a step closer to being able to more easily interpret it and handle it. Most people have found that if they are able to identify physical indicators of frustration before the symptoms become really serious, they will take action to avoid doing or doing things they will regret later. The important component of any feeling like anger is the desire or impulse to act. In DBT terminology, we call this impulse instinct for change. As we have already known, several scientists believe one of the reason feelings first developed was to prepare us for practice. If your village is saunters by the huge tiger, terror will motivate you to take action to protect yourself and your loved ones. When someone tells other people horrendous things about you. Anxiety and anger will drive you to fix the situation and save your credibility. If a race makes you feel like running away from things, you may want to stop or isolate yourself from others, which can be self-protective act. If doing so, avoid more harm. There are many raising demand for action that go with anger. To be aggressive or violent, to harm someone or something, to keep going, to talk quickly, to seek revenge, to make things hard for someone else, to prove someone else wrong, to voice your opinion, to comfort somebody, to set things right, to express how upset you are, to get where you are going more quickly. Many physical changes occur when you feel angry. Then you don't even know. The feelings include many areas of the brain. When an emotional state occurs, the activity takes place within a brain structure called the amygdala. One can think of an amygdala as the mental driver of your brain. The frustration and stress responses also found it in the hypothalamus, adrenal cortex, and the pituitary gland. The adrenal gland releases the stress hormone cortisol as a way to help the body adapt to stress physically. Nevertheless, high levels of cortisol can be harmful to your body over the long term. We explored the physical. Now we're looking for the cognitive. The logical part of an emotion, when you feel the emotion, has to do with what and how you think. The numbers of different thoughts also surrounded emotions. When you're depressed, you may notice you getting negative feelings, while when you're nervous, you may find you're experiencing a lot of troubling thoughts. Troubling thoughts. The same applies to anger. Anger emotions usually go hand in hand with the specific kinds of feelings and styles of thinking. Another very typical form of thinking that goes with a race is called rumination. Rumination involves thinking about something you don't like over and again, and asking, why is it happening or how? For most of us, rumination is no stranger no stranger. No stranger. For starters, if we are stuck in traffic, we may think constantly about how bad the traffic is. Ask why the person before us is moving so slowly. Mentally chastise us for taking this particular route, and so on. Rumination amplifies frustrations, allowing us to become more agitated, to making our issues more unbearable. The wheels are already turning when you are mad and car moves. Ruminations is like pushing on the gas even harder. An important point to remember is there is back and forth connections between frustration and feelings. Angry feelings sometimes get your frustration off. If the brain is a barista in a coffee shop has your drink wrong, and you say to yourself, what an integer. You are probably feeling frustrated. On the other hand, everyone makes mistakes. If you say about yourself, perhaps it's her first day at work. Maybe you're not feeling is mad. You can get very mad at other moments first, and as a result, you start having angry thought. Anger feeds angry thoughts and vice versa. The race is followed by many rising thought. This person is unfair. These people should not be doing what they are doing. I hate that person. This person is bad or wrong. This person is being inconsiderate. This person is being rude. This should not be happening. Someone is preventing me from doing what I want. This person is threatening my well-being. I am to blame. This person is to blame. This is a catastrophe. Behavior. The third aspect of an emotion is in reference to our behavior. One common action is to have an emotion conveyed. It covers how we articulate what we feel through the body language, facial expressions, words, or acts. There are many advantages of expressing the feelings to other people. People get to know you better as you express your feelings to others and hear about your expectations, wants, aspiration, interests, dislikes, and tastes. Expressing feeling in this manner will bring you closer to others. You can probably imagine what it would be like to be in a relationship with someone who has never shown any feeling at all. understanding, getting closer to human like that would be very difficult. Expressing of a feeling is an integral part of why we feel them. Yes, when reason feelings have a correlated impulsive action, it's because emotions want to express themselves. This doesn't mean that if we yell and scream and do whatever else we feel like doing while we feel angry, it's perfect for our tears. You are probably because your relationship are influenced by frustration. It's important to remember that it's not the emotions of frustration that cause problem in relationship most of the time, but the ways people convey it. Expressing anger will actually strengthen relationship. Understanding how to express this frustration is very necessary in a manner that helps not hurt your relationship. People express anger visually through facial expression and through the vocabulary of this body. Verbal, yelling, screaming, threatening, criticizing, repeating oneself, complaining, mocking, mimicking, voicing one's opinion, monotone or flat voice, facial expression, scowling, frowning, eyebrows slanted downward, lip pursed tight, eyes squinting or glaring, staring, grimacing, looking away, body language, rigid, tight, hand gestures, moving around quickly, pacing, exaggerate gestures, rude gestures, being very still, work hard, stiff body movements. Just as there is a back and forth connection between thought and anger, actions and frustration have a back and forth relationship. Anger can lead to anger actions, and wrathful conduct can lead to more rage. Several scholars conducted an experiment many years ago to test this idea. We saw one group of people hitting punch back while thinking of a person who had upset them, while encouraging another group to think about physical fitness as they are punching the target. Who was it angrier afterwards? Would you think it's a good idea to do anything you need to do, get your agent out, your anger out? To blow up, get an emotional release from it? If so, you might think the people who punched back and felt less mad about the guy angered them. In reality, these were the people who felt angrier and then behaved more violently when given the option of delivering loud noise blast at the person who had offended them, thinking of a target. of your anger. When behaving violently seems to increase anger and aggression. We learned the DBT, so we're looking for the overview of DBT and DBT skill. CBT is based on the idea that the mixture of habits of thought, attitudes, and incidents in your life will lead to anxiety problem and hold them. CBT therapists work with this issue in various ways, often including cognitive therapy, exposure therapy, and coping skills, and fear management training. Okay. You know the cognitive therapy, remember that. Exposure therapy, you remember that. Coping skills, you also remember that. What is a DBT? You remember that, right? Okay. Looking for the search. If you want to explore that definition or skills, you repeat, review, and that before lectures. What does the dialogue lecture means? You remember that, yeah? What happens in DBT? DBT in nutshell. Individual therapy, telephone consultation, therapist consultation team, DBT skills training. Balance your efforts to accept and change your problems. Okay, do your best avoid avoiding. That's important. Mindfully attending to your experience. Objectively, there are 5 DBT mindfulness skills. Mindfully attending to your experience, objectively leveling your experience, immersing yourself in the present activity, avoid judging, do what works. Skills in mindfulness can help you get mad in many ways. Before it gets very serious, that will help you feel the frustration faster. We will allow you to become more mindful of the process of the frustrating situations or encounters. They may also be the antidote to the patterns of thought which accompany frustration and continue to fan its flame. Okay, thank you. Next week, we're gonna learn the mindfulness. What is and a step-by-step formula to achieve it. What is a distress tolerance? Okay. If we have another time, we're gonna learn the DBT emotional regulation and the interpersonal effectiveness skill. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. See you next.